It's beat Purdue week. So the question is, to Kool-Aid or not to Kool-Aid? The Mickey Mania train running wild in Lincoln.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, it's BTP, Derek Pearson here, 937 The Ticket in Lincoln, Nebraska, Lincoln, America, for you folks outside the circle, so you know. Thank you for joining us on Locked On Huskers, making Locked On Sports, Locked On Huskers your daily podcast, first listen, first watch, each and every single day, and part of the Locked On Sports Network. We appreciate you making time. Click the button, like it, share it, get the alerts. Let us help you. Let's get the word out on this podcast and what we do on a day-to-day basis. I want to thank the folks from BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it's where the game begins. Now, a couple of things. I want to remind you as we do this. This is shareable content. We want you to get this thing. We want you it to be simply delivered to you. Go ahead. Click the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, and you get this each and every day. It's your boy, DP, and I'm in a mood because it's an opportunity for the Huskers to change the absolute image of the team and program in West Lafayette. Like, it's the opportunity for all the stuff. Listen, when you talk about where the program was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago, and if somebody had whispered and mentioned, hey, the Huskers can win the Big Ten West, well, that phrase that we like to throw around was controlling your own. The Huskers control their own. And the simplest thing that tells me that they could be stepping in the right direction is this. They've made the choice out loud to focus 1 week at a time on simply being better, better as players, better as coaches, better as a program. The work that's being done in practice to prepare for this thing is competitive based. You're not having to reset or recalibrate the energy that you put into your program and the energy you put into your work, the pride that you take in the work that you do every day. And that's been a big thing for Huskers football, is that not always best foot forward. And what you have now with Coach Joseph, Coach Whipple, and Coach Busch leading the way, that those three exceptional grown men have battled collectively for the redirection of the program. For them to work together and being in agreement for what's required, and then doing the next thing, which is the commitment to actually putting in work every day, challenging this offensive line. And again, the offensive line is still question one for everything that's in play with Nebraska football on a week-to-week basis and on a day-to-day basis. Are they going to be good enough? Are they going to get better up front? And let's go up and down the line and let's tell the story as it exists. Issue one, Nori Nurili was suspended, won't be able to play. That was your leader. That was the unspoken leader. That was the guy who had the best eyes for the offensive lineman. He worked best with Cam Jurgens a year ago. He's always been the anchor, no matter whether it was Benhart or Corcoran or Prohaska at the left tackle. That still applies. He was the vocal chain, the coach on the field who would look at things that were going on. And then if the communication wasn't up to par, he stepped up, made the communication calls happen, got them on the same page. And right or wrong, he was a guy that put in those starts in the Big Ten. He would have been a wonderful anchor at left guard for this Husker team. And to lose him wasn't just the experience that you're losing. It was the leadership that you were losing. It was the familiarity that you were losing. And this Husker offensive line needed a base. They needed a linchpin. They needed something that they could count on a regular basis that would get them through difficult situation, understanding the blitz calls, getting that communication out to younger, less experienced players. That's what Nori did for this team. Then let's go one step over to left tackle, where Teddy Prohaska was the guy. This was the chosen one. Checked all the boxes, exceptional height, exceptional size, quick feet. They thought with the length that he would be the 40 plus game starter at left tackle for Nebraska. Injuries have taken all of that away, and they're not controllables. But this offensive line never once got to say, here's the best version of us. Let's go. Now, if you go through with Hickson at center, you understood that this was a flex player as well. Now, him stepping up and winning the job and holding the job down is a thing to applaud. Do that, Husker fans. You deserve that. To have a constant and consistent in the middle is important. He's not Cam Jurgens, nor does he have to be. Cam was an exceptional athlete. Just ask the Philadelphia Eagles. Just ask the NFL. Ask the scouts around the league. And more importantly, ask the guys in the Big Ten who had to compete against him on a week-by-week basis. But what Hickson is doing is figuring it out along the way, making as few errors as possible. The physical errors of offensive line play happen. They happen. But your ability not to have mental mistakes play into your game is where Nebraska has to change its elevation and location up front. Knowing what they're doing, having a plan for what they're doing, being aggressive in their physicality. The conversation would be, can you be in a fight and be under control? And the word is controlled chaos. Hickson's gotten better week by week, and as the phrase goes, day by day, to eliminate mental errors and then allowing his physicality to take place. The right guard position, Brock Bando has stepped in, and again, as he learns and grows in Big Ten play, there are things that he's finding out that he's really good at, and he is being consistent in those things. And then he's working on the things that he needs to get better at. Right tackle has been the one you circled, and it was circled before the season. Weren't sure if it was, whether it was going to be Corcoran, was it going to be Benhart, Hunter Anthony, you bring in Williams, you've got all of this, and then injuries take place. And injuries are a big part of this offensive line's maturation. They have to, there needs to be some regularity to it, some consistency. The injuries have kind of ruined that for them. Shout out to Hunter Anthony and his growth and his ability to step up, share time at that position. They're also learning what they can use him in and the things that they asked him to do. A big part of this for Coach Raiola is learning what these players can do and then allowing them to do these things within their space on the course of any given week. The play calls are affected by it. Whipple and Raiola have to get on the same page about allowing these offensive linemen, and you bring Corcoran into that conversation, allowing them to do the things that they're actually good at. And I can tell you, as an offensive line coach, what you have to work from is this. If I'm not super talented at each position, I have to be super consistent at those positions. You do less better. Play calls in bulk are wonderful for the resume. But in the end, this Huskers offensive line requires some consistency in what they're asked to do, some consistency with the talents matching what you're asking them to do, and then copy in success. Copy in success. Look, when Anthony Grant averages over 100 plus yards, there's a reason. It's the big fatties up front. And listen, I know they love them call them pipeline, but listen, right now, they're the big boy Huskers, and they have to show up Saturday in West Lafayette. I expect nothing less. Again, as we do this each day, and I'm going to be on a roll for you. I'm going to let you know we're going to do this every day throughout the course of October because I want to get consistent in providing this content for you. We thank the folks who help us do this sort of thing. And BetOnline, that's what they do. BetOnline, I tell people all the time, I love the fact that they offer a few different things in play. Like if you think Nebraska is going to score first, or you think there's a certain player, or you think Nebraska's defense is going to shut a Big Ten team out in the second half. All of that stuff's in play at BetOnline. Like it's not the fantasy, hey, we don't have to pick players and do this. No. Over under. Nebraska comes in. BetOnline has them as a 13.5-point underdog. I would imagine that some Husker folks have an opinion about that. The over-under is 56.5, and I am positive that Husker fans have some opinion on that. But BetOnline provides that for us, and we thank them as a sponsor. Again, they do what they do, and that's where the games start. Do this as you're sitting there. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button. You can share this, share the clip, let folks know that there's Huskers content going on, and then hit the bell so that you get the alerts as the shows are released and premiered, and it'll sit in your queue when you sign on. That's all it'll do is it'll bring it to your page when you click on YouTube. Requires no money. That's not what we do. We're providing content. On the flip side, what's happened with the Huskers defense, and folks are still talking, I don't know, especially locally, about Mickey Joseph's response to a local reporter who asked the question, what's different about this Huskers defense? And in the elite Mickey Joseph fashion, he said, we changed the defensive coordinator. I'm a fan of Remember the Titans. That's my era. That's my home. Like, I know what this is. And there's a line in the movie where he says, well, that's a terrible attitude. Attitude reflects leadership, Captain. There has been a change in the attitude of this Nebraska defense. A lot of the conversation has been, well, Mickey Joseph took away the Blackshirts. Well, okay. Then they wanted to know, are you bringing them back? And Mickey was like, what are you worried about? Focus. There's nothing that appears on the scoreboard on Saturday in West Lafayette that has anything to do with whether Blackshirts exist or not. I know that's not a popular take, but that's a statement of truth. The work, the process, that stuff matters. The honor and the celebration, it's not important. It never matters on game day. It never matters. It's for talkers. It's for fans. And you can rally around the idea, but the reality is if you're not putting in the work to make black shirts a thing and to make black shirts have value and to make black shirts important, then having actual black shirts doesn't matter. This team had to figure out, one, who they are as individual players. Two, who they are as groups. They have to figure out who they are as a unit. Then they have to understand who they want to be as a part of the program. The black shirt legacy is renowned. It's a glorious, beautiful thing. It's tied to some of the great moments in Nebraska football history. It's tied to some of the great players in Nebraska football history. It is one of the great brands in all of college football. Throw the bones. But what has to happen before you throw the bones is the work. The honor is not as important as the work of being a black shirt. And what Bill Busch had to have happen for this group of Nebraska players was for them to identify the work that they were asking for, the work that's required to be a black shirt. Not just the honor and the social media tag and, hey, I'm a member of a club. But don't just be a member of the club. Add to the value of the club. That's what this defensive team had to do. And look, I don't care that it was against two of the lesser offenses in the Big Ten. The fact that this group stepped up and put their foot on the throat of Rutgers in the second half, of Indiana in the second half when it was the fourth quarter when it was necessary. When you can rally yourselves, pick yourself off the ground after a humbling performance against Oklahoma, a terrible performance against Georgia Southern. What you did is you got up, cleaned yourself off, stuck your chest out, lifted your chin up, and got to work. When you shut out Big Ten teams in an entire half, it means it is a statement and a cause that we can rally around. But what had to be done for that to happen was a dismantling, a deconstruction of attitude, a belief that you were better than you were or better than the work you put in. And the change in the philosophy of this coaching staff and the change of attitude of the players is a collective thing. This is not by accident. Kudos to Bill Busch, Travis Fisher, Dawson, right? That to get young people to change the way they prepare requires some real grown-up stuff. Some real honesty has to be required. We're not good enough. And it's good to go on the road in the Big Ten on a Friday night, on a special night. It's a blackout night and one of the great crowds and numbers in Rutgers football history. National television. You've got those folks talking about you that don't really know you like the people local know you. And what showed up was pride. What showed up was effort. What showed up was integrity. What showed up was toughness. And what showed up was a unit, a unified group of young people who had a mission. They have a plan. And they rally for each other. Look, I understand in today's age, and I hate to be the old man on the porch talking about my day, but listen, the independent individual celebrations were statements out loud. And what's happened over the last 2 weeks is a celebration of each other, celebration of collective plays made, gang tackling in numbers on a regular basis, sacrificing body parts so that, you know what, my teammate can make a play. And no, Rutgers and Indiana is not Purdue and Michigan. No, they are not. But if Nebraska's defense is consistent in who it is and what it asks players to do on a regular basis, then no matter who you face, you have a chance. You have an opportunity. What stops happening is beating yourself, which was issue one with Nebraska's defense. In the early weeks of the season, those first 4 weeks, oh my goodness gracious. Nebraska took every opportunity to make mistakes, and of course they got burned from it. But what's happened now, and again, give shout out to Bill Busch in simplifying what's asked. A clean mind is an effective mind. Remove the clutter of things that get in the way. That's what had to happen. This defense had to be freed up of a lot of clutter, not knowing which thing was next, overthinking rather than underplaying. Now it's simple. Responsibility, team, make the play. And I'm an old gospel guy. So as the song says, people either make excuses or make a way. Be a way maker. That's what's happened with this Huskers defense. Keys for the day, things to think about as we ponder and head into West Lafayette for the 3-3 Huskers and the 4-2 Boilermakers. Once again, Nebraska plays with nothing to lose. There is a freedom in that. But there is also the ability to play from pride. We all want the opportunity to change our location. Nebraska has the opportunity to not only make the statement that we're better than Purdue, but they get to take the flag with the red N on it, and they get to hold it together, and they get to plant it firmly at the top of the Big Ten West. If you ask me today, I asked the question earlier, Kool-Aid or not Kool-Aid? Today is a day for Kool-Aid. Plant your flag, Huskers. Plant your flag. Again, thank you. I'm DP. This is Locked On Huskers. We appreciate you and appreciate being a part of the Locked On Network, Sports Network. Thank you very much, and talk to you tomorrow.